Good evening. We are calling this meeting to order at 6:01. The NVUSD Board of Education is holding a special board meeting tonight that all can participate in remotely via Zoom or in person here in the boardroom. Directions on how to participate via Zoom are available at nvusd.org/board. Before going into closed session, the board is available for public comment on closed session agenda items. Mr. Michaels, is there any public comment on closed session items?
There is no public comment on closed session items.
And Trustee Water, did we receive any public comment on closed session items?
We did not receive any public comment on closed session items.
Thank you very much. Seeing that there are none, the Napa Valley Unified School District will now adjourn into closed session. We will see you at 6:45. Thank you. To open session at 6:47. Thanks for your patience. Good evening. My name is Robin Jankowitz, and this is the Napa Valley Unified School District Board of Education. The NVUSD Board of Education is holding a special board meeting tonight that all can participate remotely via Zoom or in person here in the boardroom. Interpretation in Spanish is available for tonight's virtual board meeting. Our interpreters are Isidra Mencos and Claudia Lindgren. May we have one of the interpreters translate the directions on our English channel so our Spanish-speaking families may hear the instructions.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos, bienvenidos. Los servicios de interpretación en español van a estar disponibles el día de hoy de una manera simultánea. Para tener acceso a los servicios, favor de fijarse en la parte inferior de su pantalla. Ustedes en un momento van a ver un globo terráqueo o un símbolo de mundo. Pueden hacer un clic y elegir Spanish para el idioma de español. Si tienen acceso a esta junta por medio de su celular, en la parte superior de su pantalla a mano derecha van a ver 3 puntos. Donde vean donde dice más o more, pueden hacer un clic y de nuevo seleccionar el símbolo de mundo, elegir el idioma en español y pueden disfrutar de esta junta de una manera simultánea. Muchas gracias, estamos a sus órdenes.
Thank you, Ms. Lindgren. May we please start with an attendance roll call from Vera Morales, Executive Assistant.
Yes, Student Board Member Gomez,
Present.
Trustee Jankowitz,
Present.
Trustee Gracia,
Present.
Trustee Water,
Present.
Trustee Reiser is absent tonight. Trustee Gonzalez Mares,
Present.
Trustee Shu,
Present.
quorum present. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vera. Today's meeting is a special meeting of the board and there will be no public comment on non-agenda items. You may make public comment on agenda items only. Flag salute. Trustee Water, would you like to lead us in the flag salute?
May we? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is live streamed and recorded via Zoom and will be archived on the district YouTube channel. For a detailed review of any meeting agenda, the archive video can be referenced and located on the district webpage at nvusd.org. The public can join the virtual board meeting remotely via Zoom. Participation instructions and the process for public comment can be found on the district webpage. May I please get a motion on approval of the special session agenda?
Move to approve.
First by Trustee Gracia,
Second.
second by Trustee Chu, all in favor.
Aye.
Thank you. The agenda passes and we move on to presentation and discussion items. Business services this evening, unaudited actuals presentation.
Thank you so much. Jordan, can you please bring up the presentation? Thank you for the opportunity to update the board and the community about unaudited actuals, which represents our financial picture as of the end of the last fiscal year, June 30th, 2022. Next slide, please. So my presentation will start with a general discussion about the economy to kind of inform our decision-making going forward the next year. So first and foremost, inflation continues to run at a very high level. Pandemic-related spending, low interest rates, and historic increases in the money supply have caused record inflation, unlike inflation we have seen since the 80s. Next slide, please. The labor market is also exceptionally tight. So the labor market is tight. Unemployment rate is near record lows. And this continues to put a large amount of pressure on wages. Next slide. This is leading to employee shortages, the low employment rate, reduced population in California, the Great Resignation, and high inflation have led to employee shortages in most industries, and especially prevalent in education. There's a shortfall of 300,000 teachers nationally. In Arizona, for example, no bachelor degree is required. In South Carolina, they have a $10,000 signing bonus. This problem will not be solved quickly. The nationwide dip in enrollment in teacher education programs, along with large barriers to entry into the profession with low pay, continues to add to the employee-related shortage in education. This also is impacting our support positions. Next slide. Employee shortages at the local level. While not as bad as many other districts, NVUSD is also impacted by employee shortages. We closed the year with many open positions, and we continue to have difficulty filling positions. This is especially true in special education. Substitute teachers, one of the strategies we've tried is declaring high impact days, like a Friday before a 3-day weekend, and significantly have raised our pay for substitutes. So we will continue to use creative methods to try and solve this employee shortage related problem. Next slide, please. In terms of tax receipts in California continue to come in far below projections. For fiscal year 21-22, they came in $2.1 billion below forecast. And then also there's a decrease in July of $1.2 billion. California is highly dependent on capital gains taxes. So the gains that we were seeing before from the stock market are not materializing now due to the nature of stock market volatility. So while it's still very early, tax receipts will likely continue to come in lower for the fiscal year. But the education budget does have a large crumple zone, meaning that there's a lot of one-time programs which would have the ability to be cut long before they got into the ongoing programs under Prop 98. Based on what we know today, a reduction in revenues likely won't impact ongoing funding, but some of the one-time programs could easily be cut. Next slide. At the local level, we know that funding is based on enrollment. The Napa Valley Unified School District has had very significant declining enrollment, ranging from about 200 students to right now we're running a little bit over 400 students for the past 3 years due to the pandemic. One of the things we have noticed, though, even though we have this decline, we did get more students that showed up in 1st through 5th grade and lower in the secondary level. So we'll watch this very closely. We plan to work very closely with our developer to see what we need to do to adjust our enrollment projections for the following year. Next slide. This is a budget summary from budget adoption. You can see here that for the base year 22-23, originally we were anticipating 179 million, and then going out to 23-24, 184 million. Again, our picture has improved since then. However, we do need to be cautious as we move forward. Next slide. So this is what the unaudited actual shows. The data shows that for revenues, we had $169 million last year, with expenses in it at about 148 million. So we did increase our fund balance by about $21 million. A lot of this was due to not being able to fill positions during the year and one-time money. So right now, again, we do have additional reserves, but this is largely due to not being able to fill positions. We know that going forward, we're going to have to continue to raise employee wages in order to attract and retain employees. Next slide. So there are benefits to having healthy reserves. Reserves give you time to make the necessary decisions to address deficit spending due to declining enrollment, through reductions in employee and facilities costs. Reserves also give you the ability to provide a compensation increase and remain fiscally solvent and stable to attract and retain the most qualified employees. Reserves can fund one-time expenses such as off-schedule salary increases, while ongoing compensation increases must be funded by ongoing money. Next slide. The reality of reserves is that once reserves are one-time money. Once reserves are spent, they're gone unless you build reserves by having expenses less than revenues. Declining enrollment will continue to deplete our reserves over time. So what are our budget next steps? Next slide, please. So in terms of next steps, we need to run the compensation formula and work with our union leadership. We also need to continue to work closely with HR to address employee shortages and prepare for first interim. And with that said, I'm open to questions. Next slide, please. Mr. Michaels, can you take down the presentation? Thank you.
Mr. Michaels, do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment on this item.
Thank you very much. Board, do you have any questions? Gracia?
Rob, I had a question. You mentioned that one-time programs could be cut. Would that include us giving back money that we've already received?
I do not anticipate that. No.
That's good news.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, but when the state decides to cut, they're gonna hit Prop 98, meaning our ongoing money last. But I spoke with Josh about this. His calculation is about $24 billion. So tax receipts, what we're looking for is tax receipts coming in $2 billion or more or less every month for 12 months to kind of get through the crumple zone. If it comes in larger than that, then we need to start to worry about it. So we're watching it closely, but I do not anticipate any pulling back of one-time monies that we received.
Hey, Rob, when at the beginning, when you were showing the declining enrollment slide, you mentioned that the pandemic was the justification for declining enrollment, but I might add that declining birth rates, no affordable housing, and people moving out of state are large contributors as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me of that. Absolutely.
We're going to move on to action items. First action item under business services is approval of unaudited actual report.
Move to approve.
First by trustee Gracia,
Second.
second by trustee Gonzalez Maris. All in favor?
Aye.
And that motion passes. And we now have resolution 2306, which is adopting the 22-23 GAN limit. This is
To approve.
first by trustee Gracia,
A second.
second by trustee Chu. Mr. Michaels, do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment on this item.
Vera, may I please get a roll call vote?
Yes, Student Board Member Gomez,
Aye.
Trustee Jankowicz,
Aye.
Trustee Gracia,
Aye.
Trustee Water,
Aye.
Trustee Gonzalez Mares,
Aye.
Trustee Shu.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vera. And we move on to adjournment for this evening. May I get a motion, please?
Move to adjourn.
First by trustee Gracia. Second. Second by trustee Chu. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we are now adjourned. Thank you very much.